Hello. Hello.
Okay, it's recording. Perfect. All right. Shall we call ourselves to order?
Sure.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
April I.
All right. Is there anything on the agenda that needs to be added or removed, Becky, or rearranged?
No, the two small things, the chapter 90 and farmers market, I'm going to do under town administrator updates.
Okay.
And the pilot will have to wait until the next meeting.
Okay.
We need word back from the other party again, so.
Okay. We can do
we're
it.
good.
Okay. All right. Let's open it up for public comment. Does anyone have public comment? Mike or Paul?
Yes, I do have a couple of comments I'd like to make.
Okay. Hang on
So,
one second. Rita's popping on, I think. Hold on one second. Oh, she's joining. Hang on one second, Mike. I just want to see if she pops in. Oh, there she is. Okay. Okay, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, so one thing is I appreciate being able to attend these meetings with Zoom and everything. However, we as participants aren't able to get the documents that are usually handed out to people if they physically attend the meeting. So
Okay.
I was hoping there's a way that those documents can be put online prior to the meetings and so that people can have those before the meeting starts and everything. Also, one other comment I have is I attended the Finance Committee meeting last week, and I was a little disappointed that there wasn't any discussion about the financial situation that we're in with COVID-19 and any ideas that about reducing spending for the remainder of this year or into fiscal year 21. And I really feel that we're in a crisis situation here right now, and this crisis isn't any different than a massive ice storm or a hurricane that hit Shutesbury or anything. And although there's no physical damage to anything here in Shutesbury, there's been some massive financial damage. And I'm sure you're all aware of the high unemployment rates that are taking place right now, the fact that a lot of people aren't getting a paycheck, that a lot of people have lost a lot of money in savings accounts and retirement accounts. And it just doesn't seem that that our town leadership is realizing this, especially from what I heard at the Finance Committee. And I do understand Bob Rose brought this to your attention a couple of weeks ago, and he tried to bring it to the attention of the Finance Committee with a letter last week that was, well, we pretty much got criticized for violating open meeting law, which probably is appropriate, but he did correct his mistake, and the letter went into the records for the meeting. But yet there was no discussion that took place about any of the things that he had brought up in his letter. You guys are our elected representatives who in time of crisis are needed to provide leadership to get us out of crisis. And it's at this point where I think we really need you guys to exercise your leadership and to establish a policy that's going to reduce spending for the rest of this year and drastically reduce it for FY21. And I'd hope to see that this policy would be established very quickly and would be expressed to the department heads and the committees so that they could follow your leadership and get us going in the right direction. And we all know that Shutesbury pulls together in time of need and crisis. And that's exactly what needs to be taking place right now. but right now there's not a one direction that we're going in. We're pretty basically diametrically opposed to where we should be going. And we need you guys to pull us together and get us going in the right direction. Appreciate you giving me the time to make those comments.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks. Okay, Elaine, you had your hand up. Did you want to?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I attended that meeting also, and I know that the Finance Committee had discussed that they were going to be addressing that at their next meeting. And so I think when things are a little clearer along the way that that can be addressed at that meeting, because right now changing budgets is not affecting anyone right now, because taxes aren't due until the end of June, and also the new budget hasn't been set. So I think there is some time for that. I appreciate your comments, Mike, but I think there is some time for everybody to work on that, and people are talking about working on it.
Thanks. Hey, can I make one other comment?
Go ahead.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
As far as the, I just realized that the property tax due date has been deferred to the 1st of June. And unfortunately, I did not get that word until after I'd already processed my payment. So, I mean, that is something that is like a critical aspect of the situation we're in. And I would have thought there'd be something like a reverse 911 call that would have got that information out to the residents. But it's the first time I heard about it was when it was too late. So I hope in the future that, you know, events like that provide a much needed relief for us will be better publicized.
And thank you, Mike. The one question I popped in my head as you were talking, I wonder if there's any way to find out how many people signed up for unemployment, just the number, not who, for Shutesbury.
Melissa?
Mhm.
I think I reported at the Finance Committee meeting. I did get that number.
Well, an updated number.
I'm sorry?
An updated number. It's been a week or so, you know.
They only come out once a month that
Okay.
I can get. The governor can get them weekly. I cannot get them weekly. I'm trying to get access to whatever reports he has, but I don't have them. We should have the new unemployment number for April by the Finance Committee meeting next week.
Okay. Right. Okay. Any other comments that anybody would like to make? No? Okay. Moving along to annual town meeting, which I know this is why you're here with us, Paul. So shall we start that off? Becky, is there any updates that we need to know about before we talk about?
I think you all read the email that Paul sent out. He has been in touch with other moderators and has concerns about, you know, how are we going to do our annual town meeting? Should the warrant be minimized to reflect the conditions if we're still under either the need to have a virtual meeting, or if we have to do it outside using social distancing? Paul raised a really good issue that we should really work at minimizing that warrant. And then there's the particulars about how to have a meeting. I know we've been working on the election. We had a department head meeting yesterday talking about the election and how to get supplies, making sure the safety personnel have everything they need, and they're helping us make sure we have things for events that where other people are involved. So Paul, you want to share what you're thinking?
Sure. I guess my main concern is that, you know, even though the meeting is 2 months off, there may be a whole bunch of planning that has to happen depending on how we actually end up holding the meeting. And I just don't want to get caught, by the calendar essentially, and not have enough time to really do the type of planning that we're going to need. So, and I realize that we're not going to know what our realistic options are until the time gets closer. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be at least, putting some pieces in place, just because, every day it seems clearer to me that it's very likely that the social distancing guidelines are still going to be in place, through the end of June at least. And the state of emergency very possibly will still be in effect. So, I think we can probably make a couple basic assumptions, like those couple things that we know will require some advanced planning and preparation. So I don't know how. I think in my mind the best option would be to convene a meeting of all the key people that will need to have a role in this. Certainly the fire chief, the police chief, Board of Health, so people here today, so that we can really maybe discuss the options that we have available to us and what each one would necessitate. So that's kind of my, my general spiel. I have a lot of, more specific things that, are of concern to me, that can wait, I guess. If we were going to convene such a meeting, I'd probably hold off with the specifics until we get to that point. But, let me say one other thing. I guess my bottom line concern is that whatever we choose to do, I want to make sure it's something that townspeople feel comfortable enough to participate in. I just don't want to create a situation just for the sake of, getting a budget in place, for example, before the beginning of the new fiscal year, where people feel like, I really wanted to participate, but I just wasn't feeling comfortable enough showing up, and at the gym or outside or whatever. And I just don't want us to be in that situation. So I want to make sure that whatever we decide on, it's something that we all feel good about and we can present to the public as the absolute best option that's going to not affect people's comfort level or their decisions about whether to show up or not. Even though, ultimately there will be people who, will never feel comfortable regardless of what we come up with. But anyway, I just want to make it as user-friendly and publicly supportable as possible.
Go ahead, Elaine.
I like the idea, Paul, of gathering all the people, Finance Committee, Board of Health, Select Board, and Town Manager and everybody together to make some contingencies. I think I'd like to do that sooner rather than later and make a kind of a prioritizing or a list of this would be the best case if we were opened up, this is what we would do. If we weren't open, this is what we would do, and kind of go down the list with dates of when we would make the call to cancel, at least, like number 6 that was on the list. That's not going to happen. Now we're down to 4 or 3 or whatever until we get to a point where we say, okay, this is, I would think it's going to end up probably being somewhere early June before we have a final decision. And so I'd like to be able to kind of rank them in order so that we at least know where we're going with that, and may have that meeting sooner rather than later.
April, go ahead.
I really like that kind of thinking, both of you. I like the, really making sure we have it, if we have to do something virtually, what do we do with people who are not comfortable on the internet, whatever, really prioritizing that. And I like the idea of kind of rank ordering what kind of, what the solutions are and really being thoughtful about it. I mean, never done this before. And I think,
The worst case scenario probably is that we're just not comfortable having a full meeting at that time. And so we would pass a 1/12 budget with maybe 9 people being there for a quorum and postpone until a later date. I guess that would be the absolute worst case that we would have.
Oh, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I did, and I've got to remember what it was now.
Sorry.
what
Oh,
day is
yes.
it?
I do remember. Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. And as I said, even though it feels like we do have some time, the posting of the warrant is kind of a critical point because for a couple of reasons. One is that the select board largely has control over things up until that point. And once that's posted, then, now the moderator has to start making calls. But the other important aspect of that is that, as Becky was saying, how we structure the warrant, I think may very well be a very important consideration. What a lot of other moderators are talking about doing is really minimizing, planning to have a town meeting, minimizing the warrant to, for example, pass even a tentative budget, which I'm not sure that can work or not, but anyway, minimize it and then put off a lot of the, the other articles that can wait until a special town meeting, maybe sometime in the fall. So that's a decision that's going to come up on us a little bit faster than, how do we set up the gym, for example, for June 27th. So that's, again, I think that argues for having some kind of planning meeting sooner rather than later, as Elaine says, so that, we can at least be clear and ready to go with, maybe a couple different options for the warrant even, before the very beginning of June, which, is just about a month away.
So maybe that could be on our next agenda, which would be what?
That's
The-
7th, 5th, 8th?
The 7th is the FinCom.
Hey,
No, I'm just throwing dates out there. Hold on, let me look at a
May-
calendar.
Yeah, May 12th is the next select board meeting.
May 12th.
should we have one in between somewhere, like maybe since we're all not doing much, on a Thursday night, maybe that would get all the boards together, because FinCom is next Tuesday and then we're after that. So maybe if we could get the Thursday in between, like next Thursday,
The 7th.
we could
7th, that would work.
get together and do it then.
Some of us still are working. I just want to make that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, April.
It's like-
Most
Still
of us-
doing 8 to 5.
And
Yeah.
would you like that meeting to be at 5:30 or?
What is your schedule, April? Does 5:30 work for you on a Thursday?
Yeah, oh, that definitely would work.
Yeah, that'll work. I'll make it work.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you. And I just want to I'll review that with Paul. I think I have all the committees and people that you mentioned.
Well, there may be others, it's just the people that I think need to be involved. FinCom, Board of Health, Fire, Police, Select Board, you, Becky, and,
And you?
oh, yeah.
And the moderator.
So that.
Oh, that.
Okay,
I think,
Rita, go ahead. You need to unmute yourself, or I can unmute you. Hold on one second. Okay, there you go.
My,
Go ahead. Rita?
I know I need to.
No, you're all set.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, and the Community Preservation Committee, because we have some standard articles that need to be passed every year, just for, operations.
Right.
so you think the committee needs to be at the meeting? To make sure that those articles are on the essential list or for planning?
Probably just to make sure that they're on the list. If we make a note, I don't think the committee necessarily needs to be there, but that I would just add that to the list of things that.
Yeah, I'll put that on the essential
Okay.
and
Yep.
I'll be going through
And
that.
Rita,
Okay.
you and I will both be at the meeting, so we'll remember that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other thoughts that we need to think about even ahead of that meeting? Tonight, any other things that we think we might need to think about? That probably sounds like the best next thing to do is to have that meeting, I guess, next step.
Yeah.
I know that Joe Comerford and Natalie Blay were talking about seeing about if we could have a meeting that was outside of town. Did you hear anything from them, Becky, on that?
I believe, I haven't heard from them yet, but I think it was on the list that was under discussion. It was proposed for legislation, but I don't know where it ended up yet.
Okay,
They got it on the list.
okay.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd wanted to say is that making sure we have good communication with the town, you know, as we kind of mull things over a bit, or at least once, you know, we make some even tentative decisions so that, you know, people know what's going on and, you know, they have plenty of lead time, you know, to plan or prepare or think about whether they want to participate in whatever we decide we, you know, want to try to do.
Becky, I think that on Paul's point, it might be a good idea, maybe on the homepage, just to put a note up there saying that we're trying to figure out how to hold a town meeting, and we're in the process of doing that, so people aren't looking for updates yet. You know, like updates will be forthcoming in case anyone's curious and they're on the webpage. You know,
Okay,
It's a good idea.
just a note that we're in the thought process. Not sure what the result is, but we're in the thought process.
okay.
That way, I'll hopefully eliminate phone calls and emails if that
Mhm.
people start to, you know,
And people may want to come to the meeting.
and they might want to come to meeting, right?
We need a lot of heads together.
Yes, we do. Okay. The next thing we have on our agenda is the web committee appointment of Jill Buchanan, sorry.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Jill Buchanan to the web committee.
And I will second that.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? No? All in favor? Roll call vote. All in favor?
Stein, aye.
Paleo, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. And the MLP contract, drops contract, Becky.
Okay, so the work you did at your last meeting with the letter for the $312,000 for drops was quickly responded to. And so the contract came in, Melissa did sign it, and I just want to make sure that the select board takes a vote. It was clear everybody was in support of the drops grant, having written that letter. So we expedited that, and I think the money is on its way. But I just wanted the select board to take a formal vote.
Okay.
Pause.
I hear a motion to sign the contract for the MLP drops.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? No. Roll call vote.
Stein, aye.
Paleo, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Great.
Okay, Becky, town administrator updates.
Okay. Well, the first thing I'm bringing to you is a Chapter 90 request from Tim.
Mhm.
He was able to get the paperwork together, and you had it emailed to you, his Chapter 90 request to do a section of Locks Pond Road. Let me grab my copy so I can read it to you.
Which one is it?
I'm looking for it.
Yeah, I think I got it.
I did get it.
Okay, so the project is to pave a leveling coat of asphalt to restore profile, then a top overlay of 1/2 inch of bit concrete, bituminous concrete. Tack coat of emulsion will be applied to the original surface of the road. It's it's a short, well, it's kind of a short section. It's 3,270 feet on Locks Pond. It's in between Footed Hill and going towards the lake around Karen Traub's house. But if you've driven there lately, it's in very poor condition.
Yeah.
And the work, it's great Tim can get that in before we start another season.
So I move that we sign this Chapter 90 project request for Locks Pond Road in Shutesbury for resurfacing 3,270 feet of the road.
Okay. All right. Any further discussions or questions?
No.
All in favor?
Stein, aye.
Leo, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. I think we're getting that down.
Finally.
Only taken 3 meetings.
We're not
Right.
going to know what to do if we get to sit in the same room.
I know we'll still be doing that then. Okay.
I
Becky,
just want to say,
oh.
I'm sorry, we'll need all 3 of your signatures for this
Okay.
one.
Okay.
So we'll work that out. The vendor warrants are out in the hallway. So before the meeting's over, we'll figure out
Okay.
a schedule of who comes when, so you don't all show up at once. Like
like last time,
You're
the first time.
yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay. The second thing that's come up, I had a brief discussion with Melissa about it. The farmers market. I've been in touch with people who've been involved in the past, and everyone seems to feel it's doable. Today, a bunch of guidance. There were 2 different documents regarding guidance I sent you all today. One from the Mass Department of Agriculture, and then there was a second one from DPH, which embodied, it was almost identical to the MDR one, except for the MDR one didn't require masks. And the DPH one requires masks with a must. So other than then there's a lot of very practical things about spacing, all the requirements that they have in the grocery store about people lining up at a distance. We'd use surfaces, just the tables, no cloths, try to avoid all surfaces that could collect COVID-19. And to do, pre-packaging when possible and try to minimize cash handling. And I'm not sure, we haven't used cards before. I'm not sure if we will be doing that now or not. But I just wanted you all to be aware of it. The Board of Health is going to be discussing it tomorrow night, thinking through whether they want to give us any specific instructions, or if they're happy with what's been outlined by the state, and they'll get back to us. And so I just wanted to touch base with you all and get your feedback and what your thoughts might be on holding the market in front of Town Hall.
Becky, I think you and I in that conversation that we had said maybe a walk through one way.
Yeah.
To help with traffic flow.
Yeah, they've, the guidance says to somehow cordon off the area, and that's gonna be, we'll have to figure out how we can do that.
Cones and caution tape.
Cones and caution tape, yeah, that should do it.
And then maybe similar to what, just a thought, and it would depend on what Board of Health is thinking, is what BJ's is doing when you go to Greenfield. As soon as you walk in, they offer you a cloth to clean, or Lysol wipe to clean your cart, and then they give you a squirt of hand sanitizer before you go into the store. Maybe offer those things at the beginning of the line if you do the one-way pass-through.
Yeah, if we have a table with hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
And wipes.
It's sort of
They said not to reuse bags. I mean, for people not to, I don't see why people couldn't bring their reusable bags to the farmer's market.
I don't either. Is that in here? Is that mentioned in
I
here? I
don't think
didn't see it.
they talk about reusable bags, but it's not clear if they're talking about your reusable shopping bags. Because usually people have baskets and things.
Yeah.
Right.
And also,
Traditionally in the grocery stores, people don't wash their bags. So that's part of why the grocery store doesn't want them in there. Is
Oh, okay.
that bag you're supposed to wash because you don't want to know what they've found on them. But anyway,
also,
I mean, this is a smaller volume.
and also grocery stores it's an indoors,
Yep.
and this would be outdoors, and you're the only one holding the bag.
Yeah, you're not putting it on a counter.
Putting it on the counter and stuff. But I would like to strongly urge that masks are required.
I
Oh.
agree.
Yeah, and they are with DPH, so, and the Board of Health. And I don't know why they're not.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's considered outside and that's why they're not on the other one. You know,
Yeah.
being outside, constant airflow. It may be why.
Yeah, that might be it. Okay. So we'll hear more from the Board of Health and put it together.
Great.
Okay. The other thing I just wanted to give you an update on quickly is the pilot agreement.
Mhm.
We're just waiting to get feedback. They came back with a counter proposal. Donna made one small change and hopefully that will work out.
Is this the counter proposal that they came back with that you sent us today?
Yes.
Second one and the first one.
The second one, and Donna has counter proposed.
I'm just reading it now.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just waiting for them to respond to Donna's.
Okay, so there was one, so Donna would like to see the last sentence in section 3 struck.
Okay. Did she say why?
Because of chapter 59. Chapter 59 is the section that says that solar is exempt.
Mhm.
And until the legislature corrects chapter 59 to say exempt from residential,
Okay.
that language is being taken to mean that solar farms are exempt.
So wait a minute, the last section 3 is only one sentence.
Section 13.
Oh,
Okay.
13.
All right. I thought, okay.
13. Okay. I thought you said section
Sorry about that. 13.
13. Okay. So
See, where is that sentence?
so long as the personal property associated with the project or the storage project remains on the property, the town may assess said personal property located at the property in the normal course pursuant to GLC 59. So what does she want struck? The whole thing?
Yep.
It's GLC 59 is the one that makes even commercial solar farms exempt.
Right.
So we don't want that.
Right. Because that would mean they wouldn't have to pay.
Right. And that would have changed things a lot. And I think the intent is it's for personal solar use, not a large commercial property. I think it was an
Yeah.
oversight.
That's how most people are reading it, but
Mhm.
until legislation comes through, it'll be this way.
So you haven't sent this to them yet?
Oh, I did. They have not yet responded.
Okay.
Okay. So we don't need to vote on it now. You were just letting us know.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if they reject it, then either way, you'll need to vote.
Yeah.
But-
Okay. So we'll hold off on that. Maybe it'll appear the next time. Okay. All right. Any other updates, Becky?
I just wanted to tell you about the staff meeting we had last with the department heads. I guess I mentioned it briefly. We're just trying to make sure that we all know what the other party is doing, because everybody has needs for PPEs. You know, the Susie with the election is trying to figure out how to set up an election flow in the building, and making sure that the election workers have protective shields on. She has settled on the shields instead of plexiglass barriers, just because she thinks it'll keep people from touching their face as much.
And if they move, it moves with them.
It
Right.
moves with them.
The
Yeah,
glass is not moving with you. So.
right. Right, and it would take a lot of plexiglass.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna, we have a lead, we're gonna be ordering that. A further conversation with the Board of Health today. They had a grant that they received early on that they have not had to spend because the state has taken over the tracking that was being done by Arlene Reed. And the only other major concern they had was to monitor a Maven where they learn about cases. And that's, Arlene's doing that with no problem. And other people contracted with FERCog for $8,000, but we don't have that expense. So we're, so they're looking for needs. And so I think that the costs that we have for the PPEs and election equipment, well, I don't think we can get the extra postage covered, but we're gonna try to do that in another way with other grant
Okay.
money.
So you're talking about the town elections being run in person, or I thought we were going to send absentee ballot requests to people.
Neither of those are right.
Okay.
Okay.
Door number
Change.
3.
Change.
Yeah.
Plan D or E now, I think. right?
Door number 3.
So the absentee ballots have to be requested. So we need to, Susie's got emails and such ready to go to notify people to apply for an absentee ballot. You can email it in, you could write a letter, you could call, no, it has to be in writing. So the absentee ballot request has to be in writing. And then the election workers, or it'll be Grace and Susie will send out applications. The applications are filled out and returned. And then they send out ballots. And then the ballot has to be mailed back. And her question for you is, do you want the town to pay the extra money to put a stamp on the return envelope for the ballot?
I think that's reasonable.
Yes.
It's going to be about $400. I guess the return is like $380.
That's assuming that everybody requests one.
She's assuming about 700.
Okay.
So it could be twice that much if everyone actually does request an absentee ballot.
I make a motion that we approve putting a return stamp on the absentee ballots.
And I second that.
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor?
Stein, aye.
Paleo, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
You know, can
You lost.
I jump in just on one thing? Becky, you were saying that the Board of Health hadn't spent some of its money, and I just heard this weekend that the town of Leiden has used some of their emergency money to purchase masks. Masks, gloves, and thermometers for all their residents. And so for every household. And so instead of having their town meeting last Saturday, people could drive up and pick up supplies for anyone who needed it in town. And that sounded like a really good idea for people who might not have access. I don't know how many of our town doesn't have access, but it sounds like a decent use of the money. I know that there are towns out in the eastern part of the state, Somerville, Medford, and Cambridge so far are requiring masks at all times, whether you're outdoors or in a public place in town, and they have a $300 fine if you're caught without them. I mean, I don't think they're really going to heavily enforce that, but they are going to be, if for multiple offenses, if you continue not to wear a mask, you're going to get fined. And so I'm wondering if we could use some of our monies for that.
I
For
think
which
that
staff?
would be a good thing. The Board of Health is meeting tomorrow night
Okay.
at 7. So maybe take that suggestion to them. The idea that Noreen was describing was that they were planning to buy all the PPE supplies for a test EDS prior to the COVID-19 vaccine becoming available. They don't know if they would be called upon to, distribute the vaccine or not. They won't know for sure, but that's the one idea they're working on.
Mhm.
And then that would require full gowns and
Yeah.
outfits. I do know that in our conversation yesterday with the Board of Health and Dan, that we had conversation about the requirement and to wear masks. And Dan was very concerned about the enforcement side of it. And, they're trying to also maintain distance from people. And you want to, I think the consensus between Dan and Catherine was we really want to focus on education and continue to emphasize the need to stay apart and to stay healthy. There was a gathering of people on the beach at the lake, I guess over the weekend. And, people called the police about it. They aren't going to go in and bust people for gathering. They will, they can use their horn and, ask them to maintain social distance and that it's for your own safety, but they're not going to, they want to educate people, and that's their main focus.
And the one thing I don't think we can do, we don't have a lot of public places right now that are open to the public, other than the beach that's kind of I don't think we can require people to walk down the street as they're taking an afternoon walk and wear a mask.
Right.
I'm not
No.
saying that.
I think that's a bit above and beyond the call of necessity.
Totally. And we're not an urban area. I'm not saying that we do that, but I would like to be able to offer masks to people who might not have an availability.
No, that I understand.
I like
That I
that.
perfectly understand.
And the
So
thermometers.
The masks that we got for the election are the disposable kind. Because for the election, we want to make sure to have masks available, because the concern is people may show up without them. And we're not, people are not going to be comfortable about letting them in if they're not wearing masks. Susie also was thinking that if that were to happen, she would walk the person to the picnic table and have them fill out their ballot at the picnic table. So we're trying to not further aggravate people who might have an issue, or, because people could get grumpy about stuff. or just have a different feeling about what their rights are and feel they are violated by being required to wear a mask. So we want to be prepared, but we don't want people to have negative experiences around the election either.
Yeah, I think that's good to have a plan B option. So
Yeah.
that someone chooses not to wear a mask, or maybe they can't. Maybe their asthma is affected by a mask. Who knows?
Right.
You know, so.
So having the disposable ones available, we ordered 200 of those yesterday. They were 100 for $50. Those are very affordable. But I think, Elaine, you're talking about a more substantial mask that people, like the cloth ones that people are making and wearing.
Yeah.
I know Leverett, my sister made about 23 of them and dropped off at the post office. So people are in Leverett are picking them, you know, if you don't have one, they have like a distribution, you know, are able to get them at the post office. I don't know how many we would need to buy.
Well, I know I've been making them, but it comes to a point where, you know, it's costing somewhere, well, let's see, it's probably costing about $2 a mask to make. And I've made, you know, almost 100 of them now and given them to hospitals and nursing homes and stuff. But, you know, I can see that a couple of us together there are enough people in town that could make them if we knew how many that we needed. And if people, you know, if we had enough money for I just bought a bunch of the elastic. That's the hardest part to find, but I did find some 1/4-inch elastic, and I purchased 50 yards of it. So I have enough that I could make masks, but I don't want to make 1,100 or 1,200.
Well,
I'm not a good piece worker.
Well, I think for the, you know, I think if we're doing it on a voting, if we think of the election and that sort of thing, I think the disposable ones are fine if anyone didn't come with it.
But this is for
wanted to wear one.
people
But yeah,
for
like
people
the
to
grocery
have to go to the grocery store, because there are still people who are walking around towns, who are walking around Amherst in very close contact, that are not wearing masks, and that makes me feel uncomfortable, you know. And if we had masks and thermometers for families, I think that would be important for people to have.
Where would be the best way to find out who needs anything? And would that be, you know, something that the school might have a pulse on? For some of it, the Board of Health.
I don't think anybody would, I mean, like a thermometer, how many families don't have a thermometer?
My son didn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even people without kids, maybe, but anybody in a family has a thermometer.
He has one now.
Yeah.
well, it's true. When do you think to have a thermometer? When you need one, right? It's not when you don't need one. It's when you need one.
Right. But we did get our new thermometer came in, so we're gonna use this at the election.
Okay.
And I think I got
Oh,
it.
that looks like the one they're using it when Chris goes every day, twice a day when he works, is every other week. Twice a day they get their temperature checked.
Yep, I was 97.0. The temperature is usually low, so.
Yeah, mine is too. That's why I don't get cold.
Wait till you get older. I get cold.
I don't get
My
cold
blanket.
and I get hot really easily. Low temperature.
So-
Yes, Linda.
I just have a question. Do you have a protocol for the thermometer temperature and all of that?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm just asking. It's a general question.
Well, for the election, we haven't determined exact, we're gonna have it in, we're either gonna do all election workers to start with, making sure nobody's showing up sick.
Mhm.
And then we haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I was just curious. I just was curious. It's,
It may be a little harder to require it of those coming to vote.
you know, like needing to have a temperature reading that is, you know, the outside limit, you know, who establishes that? I guess that's really my question.
I think they were saying 100.
Right.
Anything over 100, yeah.
Yeah, so I set the limit on this at 100.1. So it beeps if it goes over that.
I see, okay.
But we wouldn't deny somebody the ability to vote. We just would not let them into the building.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't deny someone the ability to vote. That's not a lawsuit we want. We've had,
No. It would be a new one.
it would be a new one. It would definitely put Shutesbury on the map. Again.
Yeah, and I leave it up to you guys to figure that one out.
Becky, I won't be able to make the meeting tomorrow night because I have another thing happening. So could you bring it up to the Board of Health, or do you want me to just write it? I could write it to the Board of Health.
If you want to write it, I'm not
Okay.
sure I'm going to make it.
Okay, fine, I'll do that.
That would be great if you write it.
Yep.
And if I get there, I'll underscore it.
Okay.
I'm getting used to these early meetings. A 7 o'clock meeting seems really late.
I know, doesn't it, that we were on a new schedule, so when we go off of this, like I said, there's a lot that's going to change as we go back to everything opening up and people in,
We can still do this. This is cool.
yeah, but what I'm saying is things have changed, like maybe all meeting times will become earlier, who knows,
Yeah.
Yep,
you know?
that could happen.
Maybe a lot of people will still be working from home.
Who knows? I think that's going to be one of the biggest things where employers are like, oh, we can't have anybody work from home. Like, oh my gosh, everyone can. So there'll be a hybrid of the two, I think.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be some silver linings to this. I'm pretty sure there's some parents who've decided homeschooling's not for them.
Well, yeah, yes. And it will be that, you know, the other side of this, how, like, we've been starting to discuss how do the clinics reopen, and we're not anywhere near having waiting rooms filled with people and people coming into small offices.
No,
It'll
it'll be a while. This is going to take a while. It's going to take a while. Any other updates, Becky? And I've lost my agenda because I clicked off of it.
Okay, so as far as town hall, just everything's calm and quiet, and moving
your
right
office?
along. So that's really good. We have, you know, Gail is, I made sure she was able to work at home if need be, but she hasn't had reason to, which is great. There was a positive case in her husband's department, and I should stop there because I probably said too much.
It's okay.
We had one on campus as well this past week.
Yeah, that was in the paper.
Yeah. Put Amherst College on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one. Yeah.
So yeah, they keep occurring. I know Mary Ann's is going to a second funeral of a family member that was in a nursing, 2 people in nursing homes back east. So it's real.
Yep.
And I guess nursing homes are 54% of the deaths that we've had so far in the state.
Jeez.
The state has just put together a reopening task force led by the Lieutenant Governor, and she was outlining that today on the weekly update, who she will be working with. It's very light on municipal and town and city personnel, but they are separately also working with MMA. And so if we have concerns about the reopening, they're being captured through MMA.
Was it heavier on healthcare providers or medical people and business people? Was that the task
It
force?
was heaviest on business people.
Okay.
I think their concern is they're getting input on how the businesses that had to close, you know, how can they reopen safely? And they're talking about potentially doing it regionally, because there's areas of the state like non-dense areas like where we're in.
Yeah.
So they have a real broad spectrum. They've got a bookshop owner from Nantucket, and they've got the mayor from East Hampton. They've got somebody from Boston. There's only 3 that are municipal. And the third is Lowell, the mayor in Lowell. But the rest are manufacturing CEOs and different corporate people. So it'll be interesting to see how they address the concerns, but they're being careful. They seem to be very meticulous. Sean Cronin is also working with small town administrators. He's going to do, Sean Cronin is the head of Division of Local Services that do all the financial work for DOR. And he's going to be meeting with STAM small town administrators next week. So they're really trying to hit all pockets and all sizes of groups and organizations for input, which is really good. The one piece of news they gave today at the briefing was that they do believe they will hold FY20 budgets. What they have given out, the aid figures from the state should stay as they are. They're going to hold FY20 harmless, which is good news. They're not sure where they're at with FY20 yet, because so much of it will depend on what they get from the federal government. And just like we're dependent on knowing what their, how much aid they can give us, are they going to cut it 20%? Are they, what's going to happen? They're dependent on the feds to know how much money they have left and if they have to make adjustments to their state budget for FY21, and they are working on it. But we probably won't have any information on it for a couple of weeks yet, at a minimum. So
And Massachusetts had a pretty good rainy day fund. Is that considered to be gone? Wasn't there was a good chunk of change?
3.6 billion.
Yes.
Yeah, not million. I don't know. I haven't seen an accounting. I don't know but everything that they have been spending money on shows up on the MEMA and FEMA lists as projects that are eligible for 75% reimbursement. So all those temporary structures and tent hospitals they've put up, all of that is 75% reimbursable by the feds if they get, if funding flows as it should. So, if they spent the full rainy day fund, if they spend 3.6 billion, we should be able to get, 10 billion back from, if they could have spent $13 billion for us to consume our rainy day fund. But that's when the accounting is all finished. And the FEMA hasn't even created or let the template's not going to be available for another 10 days. So they haven't even been able to apply for any reimbursement at this point. I'm sure they have verbal commitments from different parties, but I have no idea how much they've spent. They've overspent in so many areas on equipment and ventilators. That's probably a staggering number.
And we're not done.
No. People, 1,500 new cases today, the lieutenant governor said. No, yesterday.
I think we have the third largest positive tested cases in the country are in Massachusetts, I think. I might
I think
close
you're right.
to it. Yeah.
But I think a lot of the reason for that is we have more testing done. And they're still trying to ramp up testing.
Yeah.
So hopefully when they make opening decisions, they will be doing it on solid data, which a lot of states don't have.
Right. And I do feel like our government, our state government really is trying to do it with the tracing and the tracking and the testing. I think it will be done as well as it can be. You know.
Yeah, and there's cases you're gonna miss because people are just having a little sniffle, some of them, with this,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or something that's very, I feel down for a few days and then off they go, right? So, it just affects so many people so differently that there's no way to capture every single one of the cases.
No, there isn't.
Well, and that's the same thing with the flu. I mean, that's no different than the flu. There's so many of those that are missed too. How many people get the flu and just recover at home and don't even go see their doctor?
Right.
But I think can be such a deadly virus, and
Oh, it can be. Yeah.
it's terrifying how it affects. They're finding that they're seeing young adults who have the virus but no symptoms have strokes because of how it's impacting. It's causing blood clots. I heard that on NPR today. It's a sneaky disease.
And it's the way the body reacts in an immune response that just is a firestorm.
Yeah.
And so how do you stop the firestorm, which stops, the rest of it?
People are different. And my colleague who's in the IT department had it. He and his wife and son had it, and he had a terrible case. He did not have to be hospitalized, but it was horrible. And they both had fairly mild cases. So who knows?
And I did see oh God, I've watched so many videos about this in the last week. There was a video that said that people who have a milder case have a milder version of the virus. And if they shed that on, it stays mild. Ones that have the more severe version of the virus, there's two different ones out there, a couple different ones out there. They have a severe illness. They're passing on the more severe one. Who has which one, we don't know, but it was interesting to listen to this virologist and say, some of these mild cases, that's a milder version of the virus. Now, if that one could spread, that would be great. But the severe one can spread too, and that causes the hospitalizations and stuff too. So it was pretty interesting video.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is. It is.
It's so frightening. But so far so good. The police and fire departments have not been getting calls. In fact, they've been really slow. Which I guess that's always good news.
Yeah.
Well, you have to know, but our people are having issues in their houses. They're not calling because they don't want to catch the virus. That's the other thing.
Right.
Are people staying away because of the virus? I'm having chest pain. Oh, I don't want to go to the hospital because I'm going to catch the virus.
Right. And that's what the governor's also very worried about. He had the chief honcho at Bay State and Mass General both on one of his telecasts trying to talk people back into the hospital. If you're having a heart attack, don't stay home.
Yeah, people are skipping cancer treatments and, because they don't want to catch the virus.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yep.
But so
Other than
that's
that,
all we got.
we have a PAF to look at, don't we?
We do.
Oh,
was
thank
just
you.
gonna
Thank
ask
you. That's
about
why I
that.
mail stuff out.
Or
I
10
usually count on Linda to. You forgot this.
She was on it.
for Steve.
Yeah. So you know how Dan came in the winter and said, our salaries are way below, and the adjustment was made there. What's happened with Steve is a little different because he was, the way the chart works, you don't move across it as well as you used to. So the way the chart was working, the prior years get cut off. So he really wasn't moving much. So new people, if somebody got hired now, they'd be making about the same. So Tim is just really concerned, and Steve has hung in there when there hasn't, he hasn't been able to find anybody else. He's, been filling the gap, working really hard, and he doesn't want to lose him. He feels like the department folds if Steve goes. So I was hoping that you guys will consider this favorably.
So it's a $2 an hour raise, and is there like this puts him it more competitively so that he's not going to leave us, first of all.
Yeah.
And relative to other communities, is this in the same ballpark that you
Yeah.
know of?
Yeah, it's don't have Leverett's right here, but it's almost the same as Leverett's.
And I trust Tim's judgment.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah. I do too.
I
So do I
Thank you
move?
much.
This is the second time he's asked to increase somebody's salary, I think, in 16 years. So he only does it if he feels that it can make a real difference.
And what's Steve's title?
He's an equipment operator
Okay.
extraordinaire.
I am,
Step 2 to step 5.
yes.
I make
So,
a motion that we approve this personnel action form for Steve Sullivan.
Okay.
oh, and I will second that.
And all in favor, bless you.
Bless you too.
Elaine was saying.
We've got
As long as I don't say bless your heart.
Bless your heart, yes.
That's the FU of the South.
I know.
Paleo I.
Stein eye.
Big piece O'Neill eye.
Bless us all.
Okay, time,
I'll-
Jim.
Put that in the box, in my box or with the other stuff.
Okay,
Sign it.
Yes.
I will do that. Let me make sure. Oh, wait, it's in my machine. Okay,
Wait, minutes.
Minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of April 14th.
And I second that.
Any corrections or, no? Okay.
Stein eye.
Great minutes as well. As always, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
And Becky, thank you. All in favor?
Stein eye.
Paleo I.
Big piece O'Neill eye.
And I'll move to accept the minutes of April 17th.
Second.
Okay. Any additions or edits? Nope. Okay. All in favor?
Stein eye.
Paleo I.
Make peace O'Neill eye.
And we have to make appointments to come sign things, I guess.
Yes.
yes, by appointment.
Hey,
Tomorrow?
tomorrow I could come, let's see, I have something at 8:30. I could come somewhere around 10:30-ish.
Okay,
I could come at 9.
Mine may be around noonish. I could do maybe at noonish or maybe at 5. I'm not sure.
okay,
I have a Zoom
We'll be spaced
somewhere in the
out.
afternoon. Yeah. I'll have a Zoom in the afternoon, so I'm not exactly sure when that'll be.
okay,
Yeah, I'm
so
working late tomorrow.
April, you were 9 and Elaine, you were 10?
10 to 10:30, roughly,
Okay.
somewhere between there.
Okay, great.
And then we can sign the warrants also?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So you'll have the chapter 90, Melissa will have the PAF, and you can sign the warrants.
Okay.
Oh, and the MLP. No, we already signed it. Never
We
mind.
already did.
That's right.
our-
That's right. That's
we're
right.
voting
I signed
retroactive.
that. That's it. Okay.
I'm still waiting for the money, but it should be here soon.
That's
Good.
great.
$312,000.
Dang.
That's a nice round number.
It is.
Is there anything else we need to
I was
worry about
I
tonight?
was expecting Dan to be on this call,
Okay.
but I will save his updates for next in 2 weeks. It was about staffing.
Right.
He was just, but I think everything is fine, and we can wait another couple weeks. It's just for conversation. And
So
let
do
me
we-
just check with him to see if he was planning
Okay.
to jump on the call.
The state is not planning on opening the beach. It's like all state parks, correct? That it's closed
Yes,
and it'll remain closed?
yes.
Okay.
That
Let me
could get
just-
tricky.
Yeah, it could get tricky.
I went to the Quabbin on Saturday. There was a lot of people there.
Really?
But everybody was spaced out, but there was just a lot of people walking around and
Yeah, I wonder
every
about
air.
I
Yeah.
wonder about our boat ramp, the boat launch. I don't see why we can't keep it open.
Well, if you go out in a boat, you're social distancing.
Right, but in launching a boat, you're
And launching a boat, that could be a little hairy, right?
Nah, not the way we do it.
Okay. Well, there you go.
No, Dan and the crew, they're keeping an eye on what's going on. So if there's any issues, they'll find a good way to deal with them, I'm sure, or bring them to you guys. But as far as, I don't think the Board of Health is considering any stronger policy at this point, like requiring masks, because it seems like a lot of people are already wearing masks. But here he comes, just a second.
Did anyone read the couple news articles online that a couple of people passed out while driving their car wearing a mask?
Oh, no.
Yeah, one woman had an N95 mask on, and those do restrict your breathing. And she passed out and hit a tree, I think. She's okay, but, you know. Don't wear it in your car. It's okay. It's not a public place.
That's right. I found myself, I just forget to take it off.
I don't. As soon as I get
I
out
like
of that
the
store,
look.
off it comes.
like
I
the
have
look.
about half an hour to 40 minutes. I can stand it. And then that's it.
Okay, so I'm texting Dan the login. I hadn't seen him today. He was home with a migraine, he said, but he'll call in.
I heard a lot of people had migraines today. At least their Facebook was full of people complaining they had them.
I'm glad that wasn't me.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot, the stress of this is really, it's getting to people. You know, it's like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
How long? I know for me, as the summer approaches, it gets more of a, oh my God, how can I live my life?
Luckily, I did a lot of things I did was social distance anyway. I didn't
Well, that's what they said about the market. I mean, with only 3 or 4 vendors, it's not hard for us to do social distancing.
No.
Okay, we'll see. I think he's coming. Melissa, be on the lookout. You'll
I'm
have to
looking.
let him in.
The suspense.
Oh, there's an iPhone.
Ah, that's what we need.
He's not going to show his face again, huh? Maybe.
I'm changing the name.
Good job.
You've been doing a lot of this, haven't you, Melissa?
Yes. Dan, you have to undo your
Mute.
mute if you want to talk. I don't want to unmute. Okay, there you are. We can hear you now.
All right, that's good. I've had a migraine today, so I've been out of commission.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
It's okay. I think I just needed water. Water makes a big difference.
It makes a huge difference, and you should stay hydrated.
Yes. So I think what we wanted to talk about is just an update on staffing, Becky.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Okay. So essentially, we have somebody right now with Kristen who would probably be willing to work a 32-hour permanent part-time position. And that would put kind of a Band-Aid on a more permanent problem we have, but I think that she would be a good fit for it. So I just didn't know anybody else's input and kind of what anybody else feels about it.
And this is an open benefited position that
We have already.
right.
Yeah.
it's not
So
adding-
essentially we would have, she would essentially be the third full-timer, quasi full-timer, I guess you could say, using that benefited position, and not leaving it, unfilled. She did express interest in it. Obviously, my goal would be to, hopefully have the chance to turn that into keeping it into a full-time position. But, that's up to you guys. So.
Okay. Has this person had the academy?
Kristen has the part-time academy.
And this other person, the other person?
No, we're talking
No,
about.
we're talking about Kristen.
Kristen.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just, yep.
Just talking about Kristen.
Yes,
Okay, so that's
yes,
right. She's
nobody
got
else
the
right now.
part-time. Okay.
The-
Okay, this
the
makes more
update
sense.
for the, I guess the update for the full-time hiring process is that neither one of the two final applicants are really a good fit.
Okay.
And
That's kind of, one of them couldn't work what we needed to work, and the other one, I think, we had a pretty good consensus on the second interview as to if that person would be a good fit or not, and I tend to agree with Elaine's and Becky's kind of thoughts on that. So.
Okay.
So.
Do we need to vote on moving Kristen into the permit part-time?
I don't know.
Yes,
I would,
Becky,
you would
to make it
have-
official?
I would
And you
assume
would
that-
have, excuse me, sorry. I'm sending over a PAF if you do vote for her to do that. Dan, are you ready to make it formal?
So her and I had talked about 2 weeks ago about this. She
Okay.
had sent me a text message. We had conversations in person, and she had sent me a text message saying that she would be interested. I don't think that has changed.
Do you want to check with her and then we can vote on it the next meeting or on our one we're doing on the 7th real quick?
That's fine. There's one on the 7th.
Becky, could we fit that in on the 7th just real quick at the beginning?
I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay.
I guess we could.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's appropriate. I think it would be better to make the vote contingent on her accepting.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
And then-
I can certainly talk to her again tonight. I'm just going off of what she's told me before. And, I think that, this is certainly not not a bad situation we're in. She really is a great fit. Marcus, her and Marcus get along great. Marcus has expressed, that he really does enjoy working with her. I think that they mesh very well. And she is super community policing oriented in everything I've seen, which has been really, really great. So this isn't just something that I'm, just kind of jumping on because we do need staffing, which we do. I think it's just that, we really got lucky again. Lucky or just, have had good opportunities at really good people to hire. So.
Okay, so go ahead.
The last couple of weeks, Kristen was able to work full-time here, 32 hours a week here. So it's given Dan a chance to, have some more hands-on evaluation, and things seem to have been going very well. And Dan,
Yes,
I just wanted to
I mean-
confirm. Dan?
What's that? Yes, what's that?
I just wanted to confirm that there's no change in the rate of pay with this. It's just an
No,
increase.
the pay will be exactly the same pay rate, because we don't have a differentiation between part-time. Really, we don't have a differentiation in pay from officer. The only differentiation is between officer and sergeant. So officer across the board is the same for somebody who's just starting out with us, and that's what she is and Marcus. So the pay is the same. Now I do have to say, kind of going off of what Becky said, we had a rollover accident. I think it was last Wednesday, and Kristen handled that really well in front of me, with me there, and she did a great job. The next day she came in, she let me know that she actually called the person that was in the accident just to follow up and see how they were doing. It was a town resident who got in the accident, and I really, really appreciated that, and she did that on her own. So I just thought that, it's a pretty cool thing that she did, and, I figured you guys would like to hear about it. So it was nice.
And for those of you who weren't in the parade on Saturday, the parade was great. And Dan had he had Marcus and Kristen there. And one of the highlights of the parade for me was when I came back past Penny Kim's house and I was turning, Kristen was yelling, "We're going again! We're going again!" And she was, yeah, it was good.
It was a really great thing. And I mean, I said it before, I'll say it again. I mean, I'm really lucky to just, the amount of community involvement in Shutesbury compared to a town that I live in that has so many more people is just mind blowing. Nobody in Wilbraham would do something so great. So it's really nice to be part of it. And, you guys are very lucky to be living in the town you're in. So.
And we're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Oops, April dropped off. She didn't like that.
Well,
Frozen for a while there. If you
yeah, she was. She was.
I wondered what happened to her.
I'll give her a second before we vote on the PAF. Contingent on whether contingent on the conversation between Dan and Kristen.
Great.
She had to reboot her computer, she said.
Oh no.
Okay. That'll happen.
It will. It does.
I think she's been on it all day.
Yeah, mine's been doing a couple of funny fan things. I think after this, I'm going to shut it down and do something different.
That's a good idea. You're going to walk around, use your legs?
I don't know. I've been sitting a lot today. Today was definitely an 8 to 5 day.
Oh, yeah.
I think I ate lunch in there sometime. At least nibbled on something.
Good thing you remembered.
Well, dropping blood sugar will do that for you. It'll give you that reminder. Oh, I don't see her coming in.
No, she had to reboot, so that means she's gonna take a while.
Well,
That can't be that long.
If she had to shut
from
down.
restart to turn to back on, it can take a bit of a moment.
Okay. Yeah, there was at the top of the hill, right by the entrance to town hall. Yeah, she's on her way.
Okay.
Catherine had put a big mask on the front of her little Subaru. So cute. And it was fun. And there was a guy with a dragon in his truck and a bunch of kids. And
I saw the pictures of the dragon.
Yeah.
On Facebook. A couple people had posted that.
Oh, neat.
Cute. Very
It was
cute.
good.
It was cute. Here comes April.
There she is.
Hey, you're back.
My computer froze. I have no idea. I couldn't restart. I just turned it off and turned it on again. Anyway.
I've been
Missed
there.
a whole lot.
What? I know.
I'm really terrible with technology. I would have just thrown it off the table.
No, it froze. My whole stupid. Anyway.
It tells you it's telling you, like my fan issue, you need a break.
Yes.
All right, do I hear a motion to accept the personal action form for Kristen Burgess on the contingency of Dan talking with her?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Stein, aye.
Leo, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Great.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you, everybody.
I hope you feel better.
Yeah, feel better, Dan.
Glass
Drink
water.
water.
Well, you're not the only one that hopes I feel better. I also hope that. No, does anybody have any other questions for me while we're all here? Anything?
I don't. Does anyone else have any questions?
Sounds like things are generally going okay in town right now. A lot of people
They
out
are.
walking.
Yes, yes. A lot of people walking. A lot of chances to wave to people. So it works out.
Bye, Dan.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for jumping on, Dan.
No, thank you for letting me know.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Is there anything else that we'd like to do tonight? No?
We're
Go out
good.
to a movie,
Aaron?
go out to dinner. What do you think?
Oh, let's go to a movie.
I said that to a friend last night. I just want to go out for a burger and fries.
Let's
He said,
go.
well, you could make that at home. I said, no, I want to go out for the
Yeah, let's go down to the
You can't
Harp.
really go to Antonio's for pizza because they really don't have any.
Oh.
Yeah.
No?
Well, the Belchertown one has their full menu. You can pick it up if you want to.
Oh, because the one in Amherst only has like 3 basic pizzas and that's it.
Wow.
Go to the one in Belchertown. They also have a full wrap menu
Oh, okay.
of everything and a bar right now. Not serving, but
Let's
Well,
go
you
to the
can
Harp.
take it to go.
the
Someday.
Grapevine Grill, you can get a glass of wine to go with your meal if you like.
That's
All of these things are going out the window. Don't drink and drive. Here's a glass of wine to go.
That's right.
In an open container.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the, yeah, it was like a little, yeah, not quite open, but it wasn't in a corked bottle. So,
Right.
this was so odd. You're walking out with pizza and a glass of wine,
The new normal.
Yeah.
That's when I'm sure we want to have people to taking to-go cups from the bar and going in their car.
It's
It's
the
fun.
world's.
might as well be in New Orleans.
Shall we adjourn?
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Stein, aye.
Make peace.
Oh, I'm
Go
seconding
and
it.
second it.
I'm seconding it, and then I'm Stein-eyeing it.
Elaine, would you like to vote?
Paleo, aye.
Make peace O'Neill, aye.
All right.
All right.
Adios.
Cheers.
Thank you guys
Bye.
very much.
Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
evening.
I'll see you all tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
All right.
Times.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Linda.